Hi everyone and welcome back to a new tutorial. In last video I show you vHost settings for multiple web application. More specific, we clone this Nginx proxy and I told you it's important if we want to use multiple vHosts. In today's video we're gonna create the Docker configuration for the Laravel application we kind of created last time, and I show you the importance of this. So we better get started. We have the tutorial we created last time. So inside we kind of exec the projects, the PHP node container that was created in here, and we cloned. And if we go in here, the tutorial, it's in there. We want tutorial to have its own Docker Compose, Docker settings, and to run as independent container from projects, because we want to define a vhost and access it in here through http tutorial.local, which now gives 503 service temporary unavailable. This comes from Nginx proxy because if we go in the Docker, let me go to the Docker. So in Portainer, we saw that everything that comes locally on port 443 or 80 will be forwarded to Nginx proxy 443 and 80, and Nginx proxy, depending on the name, will go forward to some other containers. Even if I want to access this through HTTPS like this, right? So it will still be 503 service temporary unavailable, because it will reach my Nginx proxy. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna show you in a second um, the whole configuration. But now, yeah, let's start building the Docker configuration for our tutorial. We want to create a new file, and that file will be Docker Compose YAML file. So we create this file. I make it bigger so we have everything in there and you able to see it. I'm gonna open the project that we created last time, and we have this Docker Compose that I show you. I'm gonna copy it and to have a bit of start, but we'll go through each container step by step. So we want to create some services, and the Laravel application, I'm not really sure from your knowledge, but um, a Laravel application might need a few services. So we need an Nginx, that's the web server that we need to expose. We need a PHP and Node where we can run Composer and some other commands. Maybe a cron defined in there, we will set that up. We need a MySQL database, or yeah, some other database, but I assume MySQL is the most known and used. And maybe NoSQL database like a Redis for cache. I think that will be the start, and as time passes by, maybe we'll add some other containers in there, I don't know, an Elasticsearch to see Laravel Scout in action. But yeah, eventually we'll get there. So to keep it simple, I'm gonna name the services same as container, and I'm gonna go with the image a name to be even more suggestive. So will be tutorial that Nginx will be for Nginx and the web server, and then tutorial that PHP for the PHP container, and then um, tutorial dash MySQL for the MySQL image. Ignore the errors. Will define each service by time, and tutorial Redis for the caching. Okay, so those will be the services. For each one of these, I set container name will be like set for each one. So I don't want to like set an env variable for this one anymore, so will be like the same. So tutorial nginx. For this tutorial php, the container name will be like the same. Let me actually leave some space in here. Okay, for mysql the same, tutorial mysql, and for caching redis, the container name should be tutorial redis. Okay, and now we'll go one by one and define the settings for each. I don't actually need this, but I'm leaving here, maybe copy some things meanwhile. So yeah, so for the nginx, right, we another settings that I showed you last time, and I'm gonna put for all of that. I want to keep like my application um, up and to be like start every time I start Docker. So I'm gonna like paste this restart unless stopped to each container. So to start whenever I start Docker. Now for the nginx, I want to like not use an image but to use a Docker file. So I'm gonna go with the build. The context will be like everything inside here to be mapped to the var vvv inside container. The var vvv and the vv data user has full access to it, so because of that I kind of map everything to the var vvv. And then we want to actually use a Docker file like I said. So I'll create for that thing a new folder like Docker. Inside here, I'm gonna create a new directory nginx. So each service has its own directory. And in here, I'm gonna create a new file, which I'm gonna name Docker file with capital D. So naming it like this, the PHP Storm recognized the file, and like this, I can like when I type, for example, F, right, it's already showing me a tip to like use from. And then if I start typing, let's say N, right, it already gives me a suggestion with all the available Docker images. So I can like go from Nginx, and all the syntax for this Docker file, it's highlighted and able to use. I'm gonna keep it like this for now because I want to finish this Docker compose file. So we have the context. Now I want like the Docker file. So Docker file will be like use Docker nginx and then Docker file, and that will be all for the build. We want some volumes, and like I said, everything should be mapped to var pvv. Okay, and another volume that I want to use is I want to have like the host file. So um, I want, let's say, maybe I want a file like the host dev.conf, or maybe I'll have like another file uh, the host live that I'm gonna use for live conf. And I'm not sure which one of these I have to like use, depends on environment. The best settings is like I showed here to like set an env variable for that and use that um, in order to declare some settings. So I'm gonna go in the env example. Let's make this bigger, and I'm gonna go, let's say, Docker configuration, right? And inside here, I'm gonna go, let's say, the host file, right? And I'm gonna say it's like the host dev.conf, and yeah, that's it, I guess. And now in the Docker compose, I'm gonna go like the Docker nginx. Not the autocomplete is not working as expected, or maybe I wasn't expected here. And then I'm gonna go like the host file. I believe like this I defined in the env. Yep. vhost file, and then will be mapped inside Nginx. The path for the configuration file is like etc nginx confd, and in here we can like put whatever conf we want. I'm gonna name it like custom conf. So if I ever like execute this container, uh, I know this will be like my custom configuration. So I'm gonna mapping this like this, and what the next like settings are like actually from the Nginx proxy. So if we go here on the Nginx proxy under documentation, we see that are like a couple of things for each Nginx that it's going to use like Nginx proxy. So there is ports, there is environment, and there is networks. All right. So let me actually copy this, and the others I'm gonna like write myself. So ports, right, will be like 80. Okay, and then environment will be this one will be like tutorial.local.com, right? But on a live environment we want this um as well. So on the live might be, I don't know, tutorial.com, right? So the best thing is to put this in a variable. So let's say like domain host. So the same for let's encrypt host will be. So this actually, if this like it's exposed to the internet, then let's encrypt it automatically create SSL certificates, and your website will be like accessible through HTTPS with certificates from Let's Encrypt that will like renew automatically. And we want the mail also maybe to be like defined um, as an env variable, and we go for domain email, and then we need like a networks, and then nginx proxy. I think I need a space in here. Yep. Okay. Now let me add this and this to the env. So we have domain host. The key combination I used, it's like window V in order to have like this clipboard. So if you do window V, you'll see like clipboard history, and you like, yeah, access it. So domain host and domain email. And for domain host, we set tutorial that local.com, and for email, I don't know, tutorial at example at email.com. Doesn't matter, something in here. Anyway, we won't have certificates, so it doesn't really matter. So that will be almost everything for the Nginx. An extra thing that we need in here is actually to kind of connect uh, these two, I mean the tutorial Nginx and PHP, because for the Nginx will be actually a fast CGI pass to the PHP container for accessing the files. So what I'm gonna do extra in here, I'm gonna add links, and I'm gonna say tutorial PHP link to this one. Okay, so yeah, the Alt Control Alt will kind of like organize automatically this file on PHP stop. So yeah, we want that. So we linked that. We have like all the declarations in here. I think that's all. Well, maybe not all. I want all these services to be on the same network, and I have already the network created in here. This network needs to be like external, because it's like from another stack that it's also like declared external in the Nginx proxy. If we like go here on the Docker Compose, we see like the Nginx proxy, it's like created external in order to do that, all we have to do is like to declare it as external. So I'm gonna go nginx proxy and then external true. But I told you I want all of these services to be in the same network. What I do that, how I do that? Well, I declare another network, and let's say tutorial. That's like the network I want to use, and I put this network tutorial for all the containers. So networks, and then tutorial, and let me like copy that. Okay, networks tutorial and networks tutorial. I think, or maybe keep this a little more. And I'm gonna go like with a tutorial in here, but no external. So these networks will be like an internal um, network. That will be like all for like the Nginx. Now we need to like define our vhost. So in the vhost, actually, if we go to like Laravel, like this Laravel Nginx compile, we reach like Laravel where it's like the deployment section. From getting started, it's for version 9, the latest, and we have like a predefined Nginx server configuration. I'm gonna kind of copy everything that's in here and we're gonna adjust. So we have server listen 80 server name. The server name that we want to use, it's um, let me make this bigger. So we have like tutorial.local.com. That's the server we defined for dev. The root, as you might see, um, it's public for each Laravel application, and where we put in everything in here, it's mapped to the var vvv. So we have var vvv public. Let me delete this live thing because we don't need um, some declaration, chart set, try files, location for robots for 404, and then for PHP for fast CGI pass. That's the thing with fast CGI pass. We're gonna use not the Unix sock, right, like in here, but we're gonna transfer everything to the PHP container. So in here will be like the name of this one, tutorial PHP, and the port will be 9000 because that's like where PHP FPM expose things. And then these fastgg params, some fastgg params in there, and yeah, I think that's all. And the well-known deny all. Anyway, we don't have like well-known. Like this, we have like the vhost configuration. Of course, we can add some other things in here we might need if it's like necessary on the future. I'm gonna like add them and see how this works. And now I think we have like everything completed with the Nginx.